And I'm using a new microphone. Well, not actually new, but new to Flamecast anyways. I got the thing like about a year ago and really haven't used it, but now I am. So hopefully I sound better.
You do sound really good.
Oh, that's good.
Still sound like Todd.
Dude.
I was waiting for someone to comment like that. All right. Everyone, welcome again to Flamecast. I gotta bring up my agenda here. Because
I should probably bring that up.
I just need to know what I'm talking about.
It's all Star Wars all the time.
Apologies. Yes, apologies because what has it been, like 6 months? Something like that. Yeah, it's been a long time, but needless to say, I've been pretty busy doing stuff because work has been just nuts. For one, because one of the people in our area that does kind of the same job that I do, he went and took a different job within Mayo, and I'm taking over his duties in the interim. In the meantime, this has been like since September that I've been taking over the duties, and we did our first interview yesterday. It's taken that freaking long. So we got 3 interviews next week, and hopefully this will like relax things and go back to the way things were before.
Good luck, Todd.
Yeah. And also I need to apologize because I think the audio issues we had in the last Flamecast were partially my fault.
How's it partially your fault, Todd? You're recording the audio.
Okay, it's fully my fault. I think what happened... Well, I'm going to blame part of this on Wes.
What?
Because you showed up in person and I was not prepared for the audio
was that the last time
jungle gym that we had to go through. Yeah, that was the last one. Yeah.
Wow. That was a long time ago.
See? But, yeah, I was...
Yeah, that was a good part of my fault.
Yeah, I had, the 2 microphones set up here, but I was hearing myself.
Well, you have one microphone. One of your microphone picks up audio from other planets in other universes.
Yeah. But yeah, I was hearing myself, so I'm like, I do not want to hear myself because it's bothersome.
Yeah, for the behind the scenes look, I held a card between my microphone and Todd the entire podcast.
Yeah, you might have been better off like not having that cardboard, I think.
Who knows?
Because I think when I cut myself out in the echo, it was actually coming from your mic. So in essence, I cut off your mic. So all of your conversation was actually picked up by my mic.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, it was just a mess.
One mic. You don't have a like a studio mic?
Well, I do, but it was, just a matter of, when you're listening to make sure things are right. Mm-hmm. It all sounded good to me, but but then I couldn't actually tell if you were coming through correctly because I could hear you in person.
The picture,
but supposedly I wasn't hearing you.
On Facebook has a really nice microphone and a diffuser. Why do you not have all that, Todd?
Yeah, whatever. Facebook. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, what else has everyone been up to? You kind of heard my story.
I was on sabbatical, so I didn't have my proper work schedule, which means I got a lot of relaxing in, but I also, all time disappeared. Without a schedule, all time just disappears.
Well, in the meantime, you completed, 2 bathrooms?
That was last
Or was
summer.
that earlier?
Yeah, that was a little earlier. But Yep, no, I accomplished nothing last semester. That's since we last spoke.
No trips anywhere?
I had a lot of trips. I had a lot of work trips, but a couple to San Diego, one to sunny Buffalo, New York.
Sunny.
But yeah, nothing too exciting.
Well, how about Travis?
It's that time of year. At the end of the year, we're busy with work stuff for the holiday season, so that was most of it. And then you combine that with a new movie release and a lot of stuff going on with that. So my end of year was kind of hectic, a little busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I suppose we can get right into the meat of this thing.
Yeah, I figured that would be part of the things you wanted to discuss today.
Well, yeah. So we're going to talk about the TV show that's on everyone's mind, Crisis on Infinite Earths, right?
Boom.
Well, we're going to start out with that anyways. I know that's not the main thing, but I don't know if you guys have been watching them at all. Yes? No? Maybe so?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if you read the comic when it came out, but
I did not.
Yeah, I ended up finding the comic, the graphic novel, like all of it together at a toy swap meet in the cities this past summer or something like that. So I ended up finally reading the whole thing, and just to prepare myself for, okay, what's the storyline they're going through here. And yeah, there's some similarities, but they've gone off on like different tangents where it's like I have no clue what's going on anymore.
Well, that's good though, because otherwise, if they just simply repeated the comic book storyline, what's the point of watching?
Right. And they switch certain characters for ones that are actually in the comic book because something's going on with Green Arrow, and that particular role was actually played by Green Lantern in the comic books. And I mean, there's a bunch more. I mean, you've got the iconic comic book cover with Superman standing there holding the body of Supergirl after she dies. And in the show, at the end of episode 3, you've got basically the roles reversed.
Right.
So yeah, it's interesting. Even Lex Luthor's role in it is really different. So it'll be interesting what they come up with. I wish they wouldn't have waited like a month before giving us the second half, but
yeah, I can't tell if that's a marketing ploy or the scheduling, mess up or whatever they did. But I do, like I said, my thing was the fact that they brought back so many different characters from different shows beyond the TV shows they have live right now.
Right.
You bring back Smallville, you bring back those characters. Brandon Ruth reprising his role as Superman.
Right.
Doing those type of things I thought was, kind of neat. That's a neat way to bring that whole thing together.
Yeah. Even Alexander Knox from Batman 89.
Right. Yep.
And you got Burt Ward.
Yeah, that one was hilarious.
Yeah.
Wow.
He actually got his star on the Walk of Fame in Hollywood just, 2 days ago?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Right next to Adam West.
That's good.
So, yeah. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they end up with, the end result.
Right.
However, we do know that as far as Green Arrow is concerned, he will be done. And I don't know if the show will be totally done as well, because they're talking about. Well, it could be like another spin-off of it, but
Yeah, the Arrow show itself is supposed to have a short season.
right, and the Canaries are supposed to be taking over. So I think I don't know if they're continuing on the show or just renaming the show and continuing it on that way.
I think they'll probably end up renaming it.
Yeah. Using Green Arrow's daughter.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's not a spoiler, but...
Oh my god, Todd.
Yeah. But... I don't know. The main show that everyone wants to talk about is The Mandalorian.
I mean, there's a grave omission on your list, but we can start with Mandalorian.
Okay, well, that's why I say anything else after The Mandalorian. I know you want to talk about Twin Peaks, but...
No, I was talking about the reboot of Hannah Montana. No, actually.
Wow. That's extreme.
That's not
You really had nothing to do over your sabbatical.
No, I am talking about Watchmen.
Yeah, well, we will get to that.
All right.
So, yeah, we've got The Mandalorian, and I presume everyone's watched it now.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank God.
You mean the buddy cop show?
Well-
Hard as nails, bounty hunter, and a young child.
Yeah, when I saw the little preview thing they had at Celebration Chicago, I'm like, oh, this is totally like one of the Clint Eastwood movies, you know, the Westerns, except it's Star Wars. And after watching it, even the first episode, but again, all the way through, I'm like, it is, you could stick Clint under that mask and it would be like, you know, totally matching up.
Yes.
The filming style for sure. The storyline, you know, the sort of buddy cop storyline with Mandalorian and the Baby Yoda and
The child.
I'm a Star Wars nerd for life, and I don't know that I've ever looked up what Yoda's species is called.
No,
They
you
have
wouldn't be
not-
able to find it. Yeah.
Correct.
There is
That
no
is
species name.
that's one of the mysteries that they've kept
Okay.
on there, is what his species name is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the theory now is that they're going to use this as a way to reveal it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, the child, the buddy cop story between the two, I wasn't expecting at all.
Yeah, they did take that a little bit different route than what we thought was going to happen.
Yeah. I thought there would be more, well, bounty hunting involved.
But the show's not called Bounty Hunting. It's called The Mandalorian.
Right.
There you go.
So I have a question that, like, for both of you and the world out there. Is Mando a racial slur?
No.
Every time
No.
somebody says it, I'm like, that sounds so racist.
Well,
Hey, Mando.
but remember, Mandalorian is not a race; it's a creed.
I know,
That
but it
is
just
true.
sounds like a term, like calling somebody a Jap, you know, like the shortening of a something.
I would think if it was that he would actually have a problem with it and maybe bitch slap them back.
Kind of feels like he's resigned to it.
But as it is, he's probably like, yeah, whatever.
And keep in mind, if you go with real world comparisons here, you have just the costuming group, the Mandalorian mercs, who actually go by, you know, their Mandos.
Yeah.
That's just what they've done for years, which is probably where this got pulled into the TV show.
Well, and speaking of, since you mentioned him bitch slapping, can we address the elephant in the room? Does he get his ass beat in every episode?
Well, not every episode. But...
Pretty close.
But keep in mind, it just shows that he can take a beating.
Oh,
That's the
yeah.
whole point.
He
Yes.
gets beat hard.
Well, yeah, especially the one creature where he ends up.
The Mudhorn.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he had before that. He had the riding creature that bit him.
Yeah.
Then he had the Mudhorn that punted him like a football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, he gets beat up a lot. They should rename the show. Mando
But then-
takes abuse.
Again, you look back at the Clint Eastwood trilogy, and he gets beat up a bit there too. So that they're showing a side to the character that he's not all powerful.
True.
That he can't go on and be perfect.
Right.
He's got to have some faults there.
Yeah, one of the things you got, that they're watching for there is you don't want the fan base to turn around saying, "Oh my gosh, so this Mandalorian's the ultimate fighter and no one can ever, beat him," whatever like that. Whereas by the storyline, it's not that he's the ultimate fighter, but he perseveres through whatever adversity he's fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of him being badass, what happened to his giant rifle? Did that disappear at some point? I feel like he used it a lot in the first few episodes, and then did I miss him losing it?
I'm thinking it's probably just back on the ship.
Yeah, it's just on the ship.
Some missions you want to go on, I suppose you got to swap. He's got an arsenal behind that wall.
Yeah.
So, but
You mean the giant Jawa killer?
yeah,
To disintegrate a few of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah, and plus you don't want to make it too easy on some of these fights. Because, he was just zapping Jawas out of existence left and right on that one.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do like, I know this was mentioned at the Star Wars Celebration, but, they didn't have enough stormtroopers, so who did they turn to? The 501st.
Da-da-da. Yes, and you can tell in that scene there with all the stormtroopers, any of the guys with clean armor, those were 501st.
I was going to say, I was going to ask whether they asked any of the 501st to muck up their armor, because that original crew is pretty ratty.
Yeah, they didn't. To the best of my knowledge, they didn't, but I'd have to check with some people to see if they actually had anybody in the dirty stuff. But basically, the guys with the dirty armor were all the stun guys.
Okay.
So the real question is did any 501st people get to have Jason Sudeikis and who's the other one? Is it Bill Hader?
The other scout there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I don't think those guys were there for that scene.
I
don't know.
Riff.
Yeah, I don't know if they hung out with them or not.
Yeah. That was totally a call out to troops.
Yes.
That was.
Yeah, I got to go back and watch that part again. Because I didn't hear exactly what was going on, because I don't know what I was doing. I was multitasking at the time. So I really need to go back and listen to that again. Because someone is saying, that's like a call out to almost like Kevin Smith dialogue.
Yeah, it was good, but it did feel a little out of place for the...
So they weren't talking about Death Star contractors or...
No. Although they did hit the baby a few times. I know a lot of people...
Yeah, I did see that. I'm like, oh, you bastards!
Oh yeah. There's a big uproar about that right now, because you have multiple people with biker scout outfits that are out buying that bag.
Oh yeah.
So, but keep in mind too, one thing I like to remind folks is that the troops, including those biker scouts, are in that city.
Mm-hmm.
The whole premise being that it's 5 years after Return of the Jedi. They're working for whoever they can work for, so it's not like they are, the what we're used to seeing for Imperial troops. They are just kind of almost like a mercenary type.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah.
Is it only 5 years? I didn't notice if there was ever a mention of the timeline, but it felt like it must have been much further.
No,
it's out there.
It's 5 years after Jedi.
Yep.
It just felt a lot longer after, because the the sort of mythology of everything it felt like it had disappeared more than it had in Force Awakens, for example.
Well, keep in mind you're also doing. These guys are doing it in the Outer Rim areas, so you're further removed from a lot of what was going on.
Right.
But the obvious thing to talk about is the creature design on the baby is absurd. So good. Melt the coldest heart, Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
The creature is amazing.
And of course, merchandising is behind because they wanted to keep it a secret for so long.
I'm impressed by that because you gotta realize how many tens of millions of dollars of merchandise they could have pushed.
I know, that was a Christmas present. That was a Furby right there.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, the keeping it a secret totally worked.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And as far as the show goes there, that was the right thing to do. But people are still talking about them. Advance orders are like booked already for getting some of this merchandise. So it's not like they're really losing out.
I own 0 Funko Pops, but I pre-ordered a
there you go. Gosh, I've got 8 of them now? Funko Pops.
The Baby Yoda one just looks, it's like a perfect fit, even the dimensions aren't as distorted as a normal Funko Pop, Just because he's kind of distorted anyway.
Right.
Gosh, who's about the same size as Baby Yoda?
Babu Frick.
Master Elmo.
Oh, God.
That's true.
I thought, no, Master Elmo's bigger than that, isn't he?
No, not really. No. He's about the same size.
So I don't remember how old Elmo is supposed to be, but then there's also, have you read the discussion on calculating the age for Baby Yoda?
Yeah, I haven't looked too far into it, but some were saying 50 years old.
Yeah, well, they say in the show 50 years old, but the math is kind of crappy. So if you calculate, he appears as if he's like a 2-year-old, right? I think everybody would agree that he seems kind of like a 2-year-old.
Yeah, give or take.
Yeah.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And then if you take that math for 50 years old, then that means that species should live to be about 2,000 years old. And Yoda was old and dying at 900, right? So The question is whether Yoda had a hard life. Maybe Yoda's just lived a hard life and he ran out of gas, or the other obvious thing for it being a fantasy is that they just don't age like we do.
Well,
if
you do the math at him being 50 equaling 2, but what if he's 50 equaling 4? 4 being
then it's not that far off. Exactly.
Not that far off. Plus, if he hasn't had real parents to teach him whatever, maybe that's why he's a little behind.
Yeah,
that could be.
Oh, that makes it sadder. Poor Baby Yoda is a little behind.
Well, nobody else thinks about that. Think about it. He was held captive by the whatever those guys were.
Mm-hmm.
Was somebody taking care of him? Was he just sitting there hiding in his egg? What was going on?
Yeah, that was a question I had when they first found his egg. How long has he just been sitting in that egg?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it couldn't have been too long.
I wouldn't think so, but if he had access to frogs, he's probably
access
okay.
To frogs.
Yeah. Yeah, well, as far as Yoda having a hard life and stuff, I could probably see that. Plus, that Yoda was a heavy drinker, and
Does the Force take it out of you? You don't see very many terribly old Jedi.
Yeah.
Well, besides him, I don't know.
No, that is a good question because it's hard to say how old a lot of those Jedi were, but you had Obi-Wan. He lived quite a while, but that was also being removed from the day-to-day Jedi stuff.
Yeah, so Obi-Wan and Luke basically kind of cut themselves off from the Force.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe. And
if you're not a Jedi, you just live longer.
You weren't that old.
And you keep all your limbs.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because a hand is a hard thing to keep, and
Apparently it is. That's what you need to do in the New Republic is go into the prosthetics business.
Mm-hmm.
there you go. Yep. Jedi prosthetics.
That'd be a good. There's a good fan film idea for you, Todd.
Oh gosh.
Oh, that would be freaking hilarious. Just have the prosthetic shop and just keep having the Jedi stop in.
Another right hand. I'm out of right hands. I'm sorry.
But I can hook you up with a left.
Left. Just put a left on there. There you go.
Oh yeah, we ran out of human hands. We've got Gamorrean. Can you have Gamorrean?
You want a Mon Cal?
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of Gamorrean, did you see the promo shot for season 2?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The skinny Gamorrean. Weird.
Well, I suppose, yeah. They don't all eat as well as they did at Jabba's palace. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're definitely doing a shout out, right? They had the Ugnaught.
Oh yeah.
Ugnaught character. Nobody wanted an Ugnaught character.
You don't want an Ugnaught until Nick Nolte does an Ugnaught.
Yeah.
The first time he opened his mouth, I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah. If they would have kept along the lines of, doing more hunting, my ideal season finale would have been, he finally gets a contract for Boba Fett. Goes to his place. They have a nice conversation. It's like, well, this is the way it's got to end, and boom, blast him away, kind of like. Lee Van Cleef, type execution there. And
is this going to be a Mando shot first?
Mm-hmm.
But they take a different turn there. So maybe I've heard that they're going to include a few recognizable characters in the next season.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens there.
I was curious if they were going to have any Boba Fett nods in this.
Well, the only one that they're not sure of is at the end of episode 5.
Yeah.
Where Ming-Na is in there and they've killed her. That last bit where you see her body and somebody comes and stands over her. It's not real clear who that is, but the only reference folks have put together is that when that mystery character walks up to her body, there's a sound that you hear that you also hear Boba Fett make in one of the movies.
You might think, I don't know, there's no canon for what happened to Boba Fett in the official universe now.
Right.
But if they do make something up, you might presume that he has lost his armor, or his armor was heavily damaged by that experience. So he might not even look like Boba Fett.
Correct. Well, and then one of the other theories.
Wouldn't it be cool if they got like Jeremy Bulloch for that? Just saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the other theories was that mystery character is the Moff dude that.
That's what I was kind of thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, the Darksaber showing up was very surprising.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I'm curious if that means that. Why do I always forget her name? The Rebels character.
Ahsoka? Or no, you're talking about Sabine.
Yeah, Sabine. I wonder if that means that Sabine is going to show up at some point.
I think that's what people are kind of hoping for.
I would. There's no Sabine or no Rebels love out there, really, in terms of... I was shocked at the celebration that there was almost no Rebels merchandise.
Well, I can kind of see that in a way because... I mean, there wasn't there a Rebels panel? I'm pretty sure there was.
Yeah, there was.
But they kind of want to push this new season of Clone Wars that they've created. So I think that was more the focus than going over past stuff.
Well, I just mean like in the fandom, like there's very little merch.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, you got your your Funko Pops.
Yeah. You got your Funko Pops, you got your Black Series figures, so I mean they're doing a lot with that.
I love my little X-Wing Sabine Wren TIE Fighter is the coolest figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and plus, I mean, they're working on the sequel to it, so
Are they?
yeah, there's a follow-up series for those characters.
Interesting.
And yeah, I haven't even started watching Resistance yet.
No, neither have I. I need to watch that.
I watched a little bit of it. It was a little tough to get into. I've been told that it gets a lot better at the end of the first season. So
That sounds like the reason I've never been able to make it through Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
I
first
like
two
Clone Wars.
seasons.
yeah,
Yeah. Once you finally sit down and start watching, yeah, it gets better.
yeah.
Well, I tried to watch, and I think I still have on my computer. I have a watch order list of the official order it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I recall
they-
saying that.
Yeah, they aired them all out of order, and so I think that kind of slows me down. I wonder if I just sat down and watched them in whatever the order they aired them in, I'd make it through.
You know, when I was watching Rebels the first time, because basically I had to get Rebels through other means,
Yeah.
because Disney Plus wasn't a thing yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going through and watching all those episodes. And yeah, I had gotten to one, and it's like, what language? Oh my gosh, you're speaking Russian. What? I'm like, oh crap, and I gotta go and download another one. But anyways, it was just a funny thing that happened on my side. But, well, yeah, we can get to Watchmen now.
So I presume that means you haven't watched any of it.
I have not watched any of it, because that's HBO, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've not watched it either.
All right. Well, we won't talk about it too much, but it's been pretty good, pretty interesting so far. It's a good example, I think, of following up on a series or following up on a movie in this case or comic in this case, that they do a good job of calling back to the old characters without making it all about the old characters. Star Wars can learn a thing or two.
Mm-hmm.
I've only heard good things about it, so.
I heard, and
I'm trying to stay away from the spoilers.
Yeah, so am I, and I'm only about halfway through, and the first few episodes are hard, but it picks up.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely recommended.
Would you say you liked it better than the movie?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the movie. I'm not a huge fan of Zack Snyder in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are parts of the movie that are too Zack Snyder for me. I've read the graphic novel, and the graphic novel have either of you read it?
No.
It's been a while, but
It's
I eventually did. It was after I saw the movie.
It's a really hard read. It's not something that you're going to rip through.
Yeah.
So I think the series kind of feels very much in that universe where it's kind of plotting, heavily political, and like very serious, and so I think it works really well.
And being that I hadn't read the graphic novel before watching the movie was actually, I thought, decent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good. I own it,
and I think that's for a lot of people that they read the graphic novel then watched the movie. Yeah, they're probably disappointed, more or less.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of complaints, but having read it and watched it, I don't care that much.
Yeah.
You're always going to be let down if you expect a movie to be one-to-one, like frame to frame, what a graphic novel is going to be or what a book is going to be.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And I think what they did in the movie works. The ending, they made some weird choices, but that's the most common area where they change things a lot from the book. And, yeah, I don't know.
All right. Anything else that people have been watching? No, not
I've
really.
been watching a lot, but now I just can't think of any of it. Oh, it is kind of science fiction. If you have Amazon Prime, which who doesn't at this point? Undone.
Me.
Undone on Amazon Prime is phenomenal. And I can't really say anything about it except that the style is, I think it's called rotoscope. It looks like they filmed it entirely, and then they animated over the top of it.
Weird. Huh.
And so it's got a really weird. It's animated, but it just looks like you do that Photoshop filter over a photo, where it's animated filter. And they did that for a reason, because it's got some special effects that work really well with the animation. And it has Rosa Salazar from Alita is the main character.
I still have yet to watch that movie.
It is decent. It's not good.
It was one of the things. It was definitely worth the Redbox rental.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. But it also has Bob Odenkirk, who I love, so worth watching for Bob Odenkirk.
And I'd say the only other thing I'd watched, I don't know if we talked about this last time or not, but The Boys.
Oh, The Boys, that's right. Have we talked about The Boys yet?
I don't recall. I know I haven't seen it, so.
Yeah, you know why? Because it's on Amazon Prime.
It's on Amazon Prime.
Well, I still haven't watched The Tick on there either, so.
That was also good.
Yeah.
Did you like The Boys, Travis?
Yes, that was totally
That
not
sounds
what
like
I
a
was
personal
expecting.
question. How'd you like The Boys, huh?
I just like The Boys. Get it out there.
You could simply narrow it down to the fact of when you have people who are quote unquote superheroes with superpowers, and they understand the fact that they can do what they want.
Yeah.
It's eye opening on that part.
I feel like that was the Watchmen series before the Watchmen got to it.
Yep.
So when the Watchmen came out, I was a little not interested, because I was like, I just watched The Boys, and that did a great job of this gritty superhero universe. Yeah, the guy they have playing their equivalent of Superman is just the perfect piece of garbage human being. He's up there with Cillian Murphy in terms of faces that you just want to punch. Yeah, it's worth watching just for him, and for Carl Urban, of course, because Carl Urban.
Yeah, Carl Urban. Yeah, I really haven't seen anything that I haven't liked him in.
Yeah. It is, The Boys has my problem, and we've talked about this on the podcast before, hyperviolence. I don't like many things with hyperviolence, and I made it through on The Boys in spite of that.
It has hyperviolence and hyperspeed violence. Just saying.
Literal, hyperspeed violence.
Well, the only other thing I've kind of been watching, well, two things actually. A friend of mine from way back, she had been pestering me to watch Twin Peaks for years and years, and I'm like, okay, I'm finally done with, whatever I was watching. So I'm like, okay, I'll just go and do it, but I won't say anything. And I finally got through seasons 1 and 2, and then I'm like, is it worth it to watch the movie? Is it worth it to watch season 3? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, all right then. I mean, it's.
Is this the original?
It's been
the
odd.
80s version?
Seasons 1 and 2, yes.
Okay.
And the movie came out right after that. And then season 3 was just on Showtime this past year. So yeah, now I've watched the movie and now I'm going through season 3. And it's still bizarre.
Do you agree with your friends that 1 and 2 are worth watching, or no?
I think so.
Like
because especially someone had said you can skip seasons 1 and 2 and watch the movie and then watch season 3 and you should be okay. And after watching all of them, I'm like, well, it seems to me like some of the things in the movie and some of the things in season 1 are just pointless if I haven't seen seasons 1 and 2. Because it's like, why are they showing this? Well, I think that even after watching season 1 and 2, I'm like,
that's what I've heard.
why are they showing this? I mean, is this going to come up again somewhere? But yeah, it seems a little, disjointed where I don't know if everything will fit together at the end. But I don't know. I think that's part of David Lynch anyways.
Well, yeah, and I'm a little fed up with that, sort of transitioning into what we'll get into, but David Lynch certainly, but also the J.J. Abrams problem.
So you must be talking about the Rise of Skywalker. So, right off the bat, I'm gonna say I was okay with the movie. I wasn't expecting a lot. It gave me what I wanted to see, pretty much. So I'm not gonna go into nitpicking like some people I've seen online, but you may want to do it. I'm not going to knock you for doing it. Maybe.
I generally agree with you. I think it is fine. I have other things to say, of course, but I would say the same thing. My expectations were kind of low. I think it met or exceeded my expectations, but it wasn't something that was amazing.
Agreed. Yeah.
So the question comes: have both of you seen it more than once?
I've actually only gotten to it twice.
I've only seen it once. I meant to. I meant to try to watch it again before this podcast, but didn't get it.
I will say this, and I've had a lot of folks agree with me that after the first time, like you said, it was good. A little bit overwhelmed with everything you have crammed into that.
Oh my god!
But you watch it a second time where you already know a lot of the main stuff, and you can watch a lot of the peripheral. And I liked it a lot better the second time.
Mm-hmm.
So getting to what you just mentioned, and I think I've heard this from everybody. For me, the beginning third of the movie felt like watching like an 11-year-old watch TV or watching YouTube videos. It's just they go here, then 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 they go here. And that was not that enjoyable.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Do you both agree with that, General?
Yeah. The problem you have is that in while they're claiming they aren't trying to fix a lot of episode 8 stuff, it's obvious that you were. And I think if episode 8 would have done a better job and followed whatever plan JJ originally had, you wouldn't have that much of forced, stuff crammed into this movie. And you could have done a better job with, the actual story, the shock of, the big baddie coming back and going that route there.
I don't know if I would agree with that, because I feel like a lot of the extra stuff was J.J. Abrams being J.J. Abrams too. Like going to the place to find Palpatine, that's one place. Then going to the whatever moon of Endor to go to the Death Star, and like all these places are additional places that didn't need to be there. In terms of like, it was just adding more storyline. Why I call it the J.J. Abrams thing of like, we don't know how to solve this. Let's just add more threads.
I don't know.
Yeah, that one there. I mean, it's like I said, that's the nice thing about being able to have differing opinions on it is that I think what they're trying to do is appease people with, flashbacks, including different things, just because of the fact that you had the last movie being a space chase with ships that should be able to jump into hyperspace and get in front of you. So you're trying, that narrative there is, I think, what they were trying to erase. But boy, it's tough to do it when you're trying to wrap up a 9-movie series.
Yeah. Agreed. And I think the big overall complaint that a lot of people have had, I can't disagree with necessarily the idea that there just wasn't a tight narrative of like things that needed to happen.
Right.
And I think the problem is we have the bugaboo of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that was so tied together and so like wrapped up into single little perfect packages in a perfect way, I think, in a lot of ways. So that it's hard to compare to that.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else has done that sort of thing, and
Well,
that was
yeah. But that goes back to my point, is that when they did episode 7, they should have had all 3 movies written up, plotted out, knowing
right.
exactly what they're, just like Lucas used to do with his stuff. He
Right,
knew
right.
what the series was going to
Well,
be.
and this is the J.J. Abrams problem, right? Like, he should have had the plot of Lost written out
Mm-hmm.
from season 1, right?
Yep.
And we all know how well that went.
Yes.
I just don't know
Yeah.
if he's capable of doing that.
That'd be tough. I mean, I believe he could make a good movie if somebody else had it all
Yeah.
drawn up as
Yeah,
what you needed to do.
Yeah, he needed the Dave Filoni,
Yes.
Yeah.
type of person.
Now, the one thing I will say that I did like what they were doing, and you see a lot of folks showing this now on social media, that within the movie you had stuff where you have, Kylo, / Ben Kenobi. If they're showing side by sides of things that he was doing that mimic stuff that Han Solo did.
Right.
And so the fact that you can actually see some of that and like, okay, there's some deep thought getting thrown in to some of this. And but you get frustrated. It's like, so why aren't we seeing that across the board?
Yeah. Well, and one of the things I did, like I said, I planned on trying to watch this before meeting today, but the reason I didn't get it is because I watched Force Awakens and Last Jedi yesterday.
Okay.
And there were a lot of things there that, in rewatching them, let me put an asterisk on that. I watched most of The Last Jedi. I wasn't sure yet as I was approaching the casino scenes. I'm like, maybe I'll try to watch them. Nope. I fast forwarded every second of the casino scenes.
Oh, you got to be a completist. Come on.
The movie was better for it. I lost nothing from that movie by fast forwarding all those scenes. But what I will say is there were a lot of threads there that you see that they do connect. I think you put these movies a couple of years apart, and it is hard to see how things connect to one another. Like, the other thing to keep in mind with the Marvel Universe, it's easy to tie the Marvel Universe together because they have 3 or 4 movies come out every damn year.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so you remember everything that's moving forward.
True.
Whereas this is every 2 years. It is hard to see that. And so the best example is the Hux thing. And a lot of people complained that the Hux, being a traitor was a silly thing. But in watching the first 2 movies, you can just see the loathing that Hux has for Kylo Ren the entire time. And it just gets worse and worse and worse.
Right.
And so it makes total sense that he would be a traitor to him, just to screw him.
Right.
Right.
So, hey,
Okay.
fun fact I learned: if you watch The Last Jedi with the closed caption on, in the opening sequence, Poe is calling him General Hugs, Hugs.
I didn't notice that when I was watching it yesterday, but now I'm going to go watch it again.
It's on the closed caption. It was on there, and I'm like, okay, that's even more entertaining just because of that.
Well, yeah, that's another thing that connects between the movies. I didn't really like in The Last Jedi, but I actually, in rewatching them, that Poe Dameron stupid humor goes throughout the movies, and it's pretty consistent.
Yep.
So a lot of people complained about that scene where he's calling him General Hugs, apparently.
And for me, I don't know. I thought that was a hilarious opening, so I was like one of those things where I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Because then I compare it to a space chase where you have hyperspeed and you can't jump in front of the guy. So I'm just.
Yeah, that scene, in rewatching those scenes, I think they're not as much of the movie as you remember it.
Yeah.
It's boring, and it seems like it's dragging and taking a lot of the movie up, but it really isn't very much of the movie. So I don't feel like it took a lot of the movie away.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole storyline, the chase, the casino part, like that, it's all just kind of forgettable. But I think the rest of the movie is really good. But Rise of Skywalker, all that being said, all my complaints about the beginning being scattered and everything, the last 2/3 of the movie I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I like the game now of going through the bit with the battle at the end, and they have all the ships that come to help, and people are going through trying to identify.
Oh God.
And it is amazing as to how many they've identified that are out there, from all the various, from the video games, the comics, the whole 9 yards.
Did the ghost show up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually.
I was wondering about that.
If you look at the still shot from when the Falcon kind of pops into view in front of everybody, it's up and to the right.
There's so many ships, though. Like, that has got to be hard to pick through.
It'll be easier once it comes out on Blu-ray.
They've
4K.
Dash Rendar's Outrider is in there.
Oh God.
Yeah, there's like, it was kind of hilarious. Folks were seeing what all is out there, and they're like, okay, that's wild, but I could see why you're doing that.
Well, I mean, why invent a new ship for your animators to work on if you have something already out there?
Yep.
I saw a headline that I didn't read because it was on some stupid buzz-clicky sort of site, but there was an article that said something about a main character from the original trilogy dying, and I thought, Wedge didn't die in this, did he?
No, he was a gunner on the Falcon.
Okay. I didn't see enough time of him to see what happened to him.
Do you want me to tell you which character it was?
Who was it?
It was Yen Nub.
Oh, yes, that is right. No, I did notice Yen Nub dying, actually.
It wasn't real clear that he died, but it looked like the lightning effed him up pretty good.
Yeah. Well, it was funny when I was watching the end of The Last Jedi yesterday. They have the scene on the Falcon where they're like, "We have everything we need to start the rebellion," and I'm like, "Yep, Yen Nub's right there. You're good to go."
Yep.
That's
well, we can probably figure that John Williams died.
Well,
I mean, I don't think he would have gotten off the planet. Well, maybe he could have, but.
And we all know that the new Porkins has died.
Yeah.
The new Porkins.
Greg Grunberg.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
When he came out there, I was like, just don't be an overweight fighter pilot in the Star Wars universe. You will die.
I think one of the funniest pictures I've seen online is Porkins sitting in his X-Wing and he's got a bucket of chicken in front of him and bucket of KFC.
Well, I just noticed too, or I think I had noticed at the time, but in Force Awakens, a fat X-Wing pilot dies as well.
Fat discrimination!
Fat discrimination in the Star Wars universe.
You're an ass, JJ. You're an ass.
The one thing that I hated the most about the movie, maybe something that either of you hated the most about the entire movie, the kiss.
Oh, I thought it was perfectly in line with what was happening, I think, but I didn't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I did not have a problem with that. My biggest problem was the Falcon crashing in such a way that you could easily just pop it up and go again,
Oh, the Falcon takes some abuse in this new trilogy.
Yeah. Someone online at Mayo was, because we've got our own social media thing at Mayo Clinic. Yeah, we've got a movie discussion group, and you got 5-6 people that are just slamming this movie, and one of them was like, "Oh, there's no point to crashing the Falcon. Why'd they even have to do it?" And then they show them they crash, and then they just walk away from it. How'd they get down the ramp? I'm like, you did see that they have a top hatch, right? They've used it a couple of times.
It's like magic.
And they had to. I mean, yeah, they could have come along with an explanation. Not only landing gears are not working, but maybe the landing thrusters aren't working. That would be even better.
I was a bit
because you could still land decently
yes.
with the thrusters and just land on the belly.
Yes, you could gently just put it down without the landing gear. Instead of doing this, the head first, dive into the ground.
Yeah. My only complaint about that scene is I almost felt like I blinked and missed something. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like they're coming in and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna crash, we can't land." They're just fine coming in, and then it shows it crashed. You're like, "Wait, what?"
Mm-hmm.
But they needed to address, how does Rey get over to the Death Star without everyone following her? And if the Falcon was available, they would have gone over there right away. They needed to have some kind of separation so she could go one-on-one. Yeah, and I had to explain that to this person at Mayo. I'm like, this is the reason for it. It wasn't pointless. There was think about it.
That's true, but that is kind of, that's apologetics, right? That is a way to solve a problem in a script. And that doesn't mean that that's the best way.
Right.
Yeah, they could have done a better job of explaining that, but like I said.
So my complaint about the kiss, and especially in rewatching the 2 previous movies, is there's no romance built up at all. Like, I don't see any romance in the previous 2 movies. It is very much a, sibling sort of relationship. And I felt like Rise of Skywalker even more emphasized that. Like, this big, sibling build-up. They're in this together. They've been through so much. That the kiss just felt like, why? What?
Because in Star Wars, siblings kiss. I mean, they've set the precedent. I'm not sure how you missed that.
Touche. All right, I'll shut up about it now.
This is a throwback to George.
Gotta
have them kiss.
I was okay with it just simply on the fact that you understand that, as far as they know, they're the only 2, Force sensitive people to that level, and they had such a bond fighting the Emperor that, I'm okay with it developing to that part.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think you could be even more tender and even more close with, them putting their heads together. Mm-hmm. Or, a hug with, their cheeks pressed against each other. Something that shows more intimacy. A kiss, for me, was almost
kind of like I was going to say, kind of like the end of Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yep. You're not wrong there. You are not wrong with that. That might have been more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And I was
I'm okay with that.
I was in a theater where I was the only person, and I was so sad, that clapped out loud when Chewie got his medal.
Mm. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not a peep from anybody else, and then I felt like an idiot. It's like, come on, people.
Those people are buttheads.
Yeah. Yep.
And I also cried like a baby when Leia died. Too soon.
Mm-hmm. Mm. But did you cry when you thought Chewie blew up?
I knew 100% that it wasn't Chewie. That was poor. That was bad. That was not.
Well, I mean, you see him in the Falcon with Lando in the trailer, so it's like, they haven't shown that yet, so I'm pretty sure he's still alive.
I don't believe trailers for anything. But I also don't believe hey, they took him to a ship that's behind a mountain, and then a ship took off from behind the mountain.
Well, if you actually watch close in that scene, there are 2 ships back there. That's where I noticed that. Yeah.
See, you got to watch it at another time.
There are 2 ships sitting there, so I mean, it was
that makes it even worse then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But did you notice that on the first viewing, that there was 2 ships?
I did, yes.
Okay.
I don't think I noticed.
I didn't notice myself, even after 2 times.
Well, but it was
even knowing that he got taken away.
Well, it was still a shock when you do it, because again, even though I saw 2 ships, to me it made sense later on when they're like, oh no, he's still alive. Like, oh yeah, there were 2 ships there.
So here's another little problem. When she ripped that ship in half, she was devastated, and I get that she's emotional and other things are going on, right? Mm-hmm. But she would have felt Chewie dying, because later on, when she finds out he's alive, it's not because she sees him, it's because she senses him.
Mm-hmm.
So she can clearly sense Chewie. Why does she think that he died then?
I want to say she was more shocked at the lightning bolts coming out of her hands and dark side powers to get a feel for. She's not concentrating on Chewie at that point,
right?
As far as his life force goes, whereas later on she is kind of focused in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thought, anyway.
Yeah, I agree
get
with
the
that.
trauma being a cover for that, but yeah. I don't know. Anything else? Anything else I'm forgetting about the movie? I've only seen it once, so any other notable?
The only thing would be towards the end when she is hearing the voices. When you actually go back and look at the list of all the different.
You know, I wish I could have
speaking to
heard
her.
him. I want to hear that clip again
Yep.
because I didn't catch a lot of them.
Yeah, it's actually it's cool when you see it once, and then you realize the list, and you listen, and you go in again, and you start picking out all the different people.
Well,
It's
Yep.
cool.
I was really curious if Ahsoka was going to be in there, and then I read online afterward that she was,
Right.
which is a little sad.
Although you've got that Twitter message from, was it Dave Filoni himself?
Yep.
That he kind of made a comparison to Gandalf. He's like,
So she doesn't.
something along the lines of, are you really sure
Yeah.
she's dead? Kind of a deal. So maybe that's a reference to having her in The Mandalorian later on.
Well,
Who knows? Maybe.
there was a point because some of these folks who have been providing leaks over the course of time, someone had leaked the fact that all these characters were going to show up as Force ghosts
Right.
in that scene. But then Disney decides that, hey, you know what? If I don't want one of these people to be actually dead and you reuse them,
Right.
I can't have them as Force ghosts.
Right.
Mhm.
Good
So
point.
now that you take away the Force ghost, now you're not so sure anymore.
Was David Prowse in there?
No,
No.
See,
he.
I would have loved to have that.
I'm pretty sure that they still have him as persona non grata.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Screw you, Lucas.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but there's a film on Netflix that deals with these movie makers recreating the scene from Return of the Jedi using David Prowse instead of Sebastian Shaw. And it's really good up to the point where they're going to show it and then they don't show it. It's like a total build-up. All right, I want to see this. And everyone says how good it is. Yeah, and then they can't show it. I'm like, seriously? You just wasted like an hour and a half of my time.
Yeah.
But anyways. Christ, I've got like 5 minutes. Well, I'll just tell them I'll be a little late. But I'm supposed to go play Gloomhaven at 10
Yeah,
o'clock.
that's
but,
important stuff. We can zip through. There are
otherwise,
no
I don't
movies
think I've seen any other movies
that
since
are
we
no
talked
movies.
last. It's like, was there anything else? I don't think I went to anything else.
I've been to very few movies in the theater.
Yeah. Enough where I'm thinking, well, even next year kind of seems, or actually this year now, seems a little scarce as far as how many movies am I going to go see? Because I rate it by,
Not gonna
okay,
go see
I could buy the popcorn bucket from our movie theater that's good for a year, where a refill is like, what, $2? 50 cents on Tuesdays, though. I'm like, is it worth spending $15 on this bucket initially? I don't know if I'm going to see that many movies, so I'm thinking no.
Well, what I think is interesting, at least a couple of theaters around here are re-releasing all the Harry Potters
Oh,
in
interesting.
theater. So, and a lot of those I never saw in the theater. So I'm like, you know what, that might be kind of cool to go see.
Oh, there you go.
I think I saw every one of those in the theater.
I don't think I did.
The other thing I saw that is not necessarily sci-fi, but it is related, is the Galaxy Quest documentary.
Oh, I got to see that yet.
Yeah,
Where's
it
that
is
at?
now available online for video on demand. So
Okay.
it's worth watching. It's not. It's a doc. It does the same thing every pop culture documentary does, where they interview random schmoes that I just don't care to hear from. Like I care to hear from the cast and from like the Star Trek cast. That's interesting, but I don't need to hear from Paul Scheer. Like I like Paul Scheer, but why? So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and as I pointed out to Todd several times over many years, it's still the best Star Trek movie out there. But
that's what a lot of people say. Like, I think they had Patrick Stewart and my brain just farted. Data.
Brent
Spiner.
Brent Spiner, thank you. I think they don't have Patrick Stewart on there, but they have Brent Spiner and Will Wheaton saying that it's the best Star Trek movie.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I did see was the What You Leave Behind, talking about Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, one of my friends said he saw that.
Yep. I actually got that online from, I think it was Vudu.
Yeah.
It was dirt cheap, plus I had some Vudu credit going on, so...
Yeah, I need to watch that too.
That was very good. I just thought of another movie I did see, which was actually a big event because I saw it with Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes. It was Jay and Silent Bob Reboot.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that came out.
Oh yeah. Well, it'll be out on Blu-ray DVD here shortly. I think another month or something like that.
Yeah,
it's coming up soon.
A premiere of some sort.
Yeah, they were taking it on the road, so it was the Jay and Silent Bob Reboot Road Show, and yeah, I saw it at the Fitzgerald Theater in St. Paul on the upper level, which I'm not good with heights. So
I don't know what you mean by that, Todd. You've been fine many years.
God. Yeah, enough where we get up there. I went with Corey. We get up there and, Corey just walks right down to see. I mean, at that level, you're going like 45 degrees about. And I had to crawl backwards.
Yeah,
I'm just like, why the hell do I do this to myself? So anytime I'm going to one of these theaters ever again, I'm like, I can do the mid-level deck, but top deck, screw that. I'm not doing that anymore.
Hey, remember that time you walked up glass stairs to see a Prince exhibit?
Yeah, the Science Museum.
I remember that.
There's times when I have to do things like that, and it's like, give me a railing, and I'll close my eyes, and just let me know when I'm going to reach the top.
There you go.
Yeah, that's smart.
One other movie mentioned from last fall, Zombieland Double Tap.
Oh, I did see that.
I was going to go see that, and I never got around to it, so now I've got to do a rental.
It doesn't. You don't have the surprise humor of the original, but there's plenty of stuff in there to make that an entertaining movie.
I give it a resounding meh.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
It's one of those things, like I said, you can't duplicate what they did originally.
Yeah.
But at least there was enough entertaining stuff in there that it was like, okay, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My only complaint is they had the doubles of them, like sort of one of the jokes was the doubles, and they had what's his name? Tom.
No spoilers. I haven't seen this.
No, it's in the trailer. I mean,
okay.
Tom Middleditch or Middleston or what is that guy's name? The guy from Silicon Valley, as the equivalent of the Jesse Eisenberg. But then the equivalent of Woody Harrelson, they had Luke Wilson, which I get, like, that's okay. I guarantee they wanted Matthew McConaughey. That would have been the better, perfect match.
All right. Well, we should probably get the fan film of the month through.
Yeah, we can.
I don't know if either of you guys have watched this yet, but this one just came out not too long ago. Kenobi, a Star Wars fan film, is what it's called. Out there on YouTube, I'll provide the link to everyone if you look at the description here. But I thought overall it was a job well done. Initially, I was thinking, is this stepping on any toes of the new Kenobi series that they're going to be doing on Disney Plus? I guess we'll see, but interesting nonetheless. It's kind of where I thought a series would go, things that they touched on in this fan film. But I don't have either of you watched this yet.
I have not yet had the chance, but I definitely have it on the list.
Yeah, I just pulled it up. That reminds me, one other tiny little thing, we won't get into it, but the other upcoming thing that I'm sure we're all excited about is the Picard series starts in a week.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Be interesting. I don't know. I'm almost off on, the Star Wars tangent right now, where I'm more heavily involved in that. To have a throwback to Star Trek, it'll take me a while to adjust, I think.
The first time you see Patrick Stewart and you cry, then you'll be in.
Yeah. Well, we should probably also do a Star Wars Kenner commercial. This time featuring Empire Strikes Back figures.
It's a Bespin Guard. Halt, strangers. Take us to Lando Calrissian. Follow me.
From Kenner's Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back collection. Action figures each sold separately.
I'm Lando. Who's there? Han Solo on a mission with a rebel soldier. What's your mission? We're fighting the Empire, and we need your help.
Han Solo, Rebel Soldier, Lando Calrissian, and Bespin Guard, each sold separately. From Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back collection. New from Kenner.
And we're back. And the dialogue they give these kids in these commercials is just so corny and funny.
Yes.
But yeah, if you go back and listen to, you guys should really go back and listen to podcasts that we've done.
What? That's a thing.
Sure. I mean, I've got to do it to edit it. Someone else should be doing it too.
I can't listen to myself for an hour. That's something psychologically wrong about that.
Mm-hmm.
There's people that can do it. I'm sure Kevin Smith does it.
Have you heard about Adam Driver?
No.
So Adam Driver apparently is well known for absolutely never watching or even listening to clips of
that's
himself.
right. Yes,
and so there was
I
just
did
a
hear
thing about
this.
Fresh Air. Like, he walked off the set of Fresh Air because they were going to play a clip from Marriage Story.
Or they did play it.
Or they did
and he
play it,
walked
and he
out.
walked
Yeah, I did hear about that.
It's intense.
And there was other actors that came out saying, "Yeah, I agree with him. We can't do this either." So,
Yeah.
but he has like high anxiety about it. So, yeah.
That is a movie.
Well,
to watch.
I'm not one of those people.
It is not relevant to this podcast, but Marriage Story, don't watch it.
Okay.
It's
All right.
well made and painful.
All right then. Yeah. In the meantime, over these past few months that we haven't been online here, well, I at least went to one convention, the GalaxyCon Minneapolis, which I'm, as far as comparing what has previously come through, like the Wizard World conventions, GalaxyCon really did a good job. Mm-hmm. I ended up getting my picture with Nichelle Nichols because I'm like, she's not doing this very much longer. Mm-hmm. In fact, it's kind of like a farewell tour that she's going on. And, there's been things about her health in the news somewhat recently, and like I want to, see her before she passes on. And so I got my picture with her. That was cool. I talked with her a little bit right after the picture, and that was awesome.
And then I saw her at a NASA meeting a few years back. She was one of the guest speakers.
Oh, cool.
So it was very cool. I didn't get to interact with her, but it was cool to have her there.
Yeah. And then Brian O'Halloran, who is Dante from Clerks, and many other relatives of Dante and other View Askew pictures. Yeah, I went to his booth and I was talking with him. Well, both Corey and I were. We were talking with him for, a good maybe 10, 15 minutes, and, asking about Clerks 3 and things like that. But, yeah, I came back and... Because when I saw him at the booth, I was still in my Star Trek uniform. And then right after I got that picture with Nichelle Nichols, then I went and changed and dressed up as Dante from Clerks. So then I got my picture with him, and I'm like, does he recognize I'm the same person that I was, he was talking to? I'm sure he did, but I stayed that way for the rest of the day
Do you
then.
think he is like Alan Rickman in Galaxy Quest? Do you think he just wants to punch everybody that says I'm not even supposed to be here today? To him?
Oh, no. He kind of expects it. He's like, at least I'm not like the person that played his girlfriend in the movie. Marilyn, I can't think of her last name now, but he's like, she has to hear, things about sucking dick on the way to the parking lot. Like, oh yeah, you got a point there. So yeah, he made a point of saying something along those lines when he was up to speak for his panel. So.
Yeah.
But and then looking on, there's Nerd and Out Con in Rochester has been going pretty well, and they're actually getting Jason Mewes this time, coming up in August. But I see that Jason Mewes is also signed up to be in GalaxyCon Minneapolis in November. So, like, you'd probably have more interaction with him at the smaller con than you do at GalaxyCon. So, like, maybe I'll just see him at both. I don't know, but I'm making it a point to get pictures, and I've got kind of like a wall of fame going around the ceiling in the pool table room over here. So we'll see how many I can afford. But well, Travis, I'm sure you're going to a few conventions in here just because you've got the 501st.
Yeah, so we had GalaxyCon has started doing one here in Louisville, and we had one in November, which was pretty good. I wish I could have got around to see a lot more of the guests. 'Cause they just have so many people there. But it was fun. It was a lot of stuff going on. What always cracks me up is people always think these conventions are all about the sci-fi stuff, but then you have the wrestlers.
Yep.
And
that was another person we saw. I saw Sergeant Slaughter.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, here's the best part is those guys, when they have off time or they're not having to do their own autographs, whatever, they'll come around, and the sheer number of them that like Star Wars is hilarious because they come over to get photos with us.
Cool.
So, that part's always fun with that. And then for this GalaxyCon, a friend of ours is part of a group that's a G.I. Joe costuming group.
Oh.
So they had people there with them, which was just even more hilarious with some of the stars are in the G.I. Joe as well.
Nice. So yeah, Wes, get to some more cons.
I go to conferences. I don't go to conventions.
Yeah, but what fun is that?
It's just too many. I have so much other travel that it does make it hard to get to.
Come up to Minnesota for going to GalaxyCon in November.
November is the worst possible time.
Okay, Nerd and Out Con in August.
Exactly. I have the academic year issue with my life, and that.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of it hard. I loved going to Dragon Con when I went for a couple of years before I started my faculty job, but now it's really hard to go because it's over Labor Day weekend, and it's right at the beginning of the semester. It's really tough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we've all got to get old enough where we can retire, so we have all the time in the world.
There you go.
Which, this was a surprise. Well, we had Matt come over to our place. Matt Spielman, for those who don't know. He came over, the Friday after Christmas? And it was in the afternoon. And I was thinking, he'll stay for a while, we'll go out for supper and stuff, and then he'll go back home. Well, Julia was sick back in Fairmont, so she stayed behind. But Matt's mother came along because they went over to Red Wing to see Matt's stepdad. And so Matt had his son Alex with him, his mom. They're there, and they stayed for maybe, an hour tops? Maybe 30 minutes, and then he took off. I'm like, holy crap. But one of the things he did say, because he's out in Dublin, Ireland, for those who regularly listen to the podcast, we had an interview with him a while back, talking about his experiences out there. But, he told me that he was given his 2 weeks notice out there. And because we were planning on, at some point flying over there and staying with him and going sightseeing and stuff. But he's like, well, you got to do it before June now if you want to come out. So I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. So, but
so where's he going now?
They are planning on moving down to Houston because that's where Julie's parents are from. And I guess they're not in the best health, so they're going to go down there and kind of help them out, and who knows how long they'll stay. But I'm thinking, what is there a branch of the company that's down there? And he's like, well, effectively, I could actually retire right now. And I'm like, what the hell? You're not even 50.
Damn it.
Because I know. Just mentioning retirement earlier, I'm like, that's right, we know someone that is retiring. Matt. I'm like, what the hell?
Way to go, Matt. We're all proud of you, you old fart.
Yeah. But yeah, that was my little thing there.
I wanted to talk a little bit about, we're talking about conventions, upcoming conventions.
Yes.
So the Lexington, Kentucky area has the LexCon coming up in March. And just to give folks a brief idea of who's coming, you have the Karate Kid folks, Ralph Macchio, William Zabka, Martin Cove coming. Okay. Great. You also got Steve Guttenberg of Police Academy.
Oh my God!
I really want to meet him. I think that's just hilarious.
That would be awesome.
But then you look at the Star Wars guests. You start off with Warwick Davis and Kevin Thompson.
Okay.
And then you have look at Ashley Eckstein is going to be there. So that's cool. And then you kind of scroll through. You're going to have the guy Taylor Gray who voices Ezra. From Rebels will be there. And
is it the same guy that voices old Ezra and young Ezra?
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Yep. But then it's like, all of a sudden they've got a bunch of other Star Wars folks. I'm like, okay, you guys are going Star Wars heavy. And then just because, and it's not Star Wars, Bruce Boxleitner.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm hanging out with Bruce Boxleitner. I'm doing it.
Nice.
Making this happen. So, but that's one of the things you talk about these conventions. Just some of the folks you wouldn't normally get to see in with these smaller conventions. Like I said, you're going to have a chance to actually visit with them, talk with them, if you go for the autograph, whatever, and actually be able to have some dialogue with these folks.
Yeah, for me, I'm more about. I'd rather have the photo op than the autograph. Autograph is just kind of an added bonus, but
yes, I don't normally collect autographs, but if it's somebody I want to actually talk to, the photograph lines they shove you through so quick you don't usually have a talk. But if it's somebody you actually want to have a conversation with, autograph line's the way to go.
Yeah, I'm the opposite end. I don't care about a photo or autograph, but conversation I do. Like I've had a conversation with a few people, and that's always nice. And then people are like, "Did you get a picture with them?" No, okay.
No.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of. As I was telling one person online, I'm like, I like doing the photo op because just seeing it takes me back to that instance better than, trying to remember it. We're only getting older and our memories are going to mush. So,
well, that's I like the ones if you do the autograph that will include a selfie.
Yeah.
So, that's one way to do it there as well.
Yep. All right. One last thing I need to say. I've only been talking about this since the beginning, I think, of doing the podcast. but I have actually gone and rewritten my Jedi audio story, which started out as a live action, but I converted it to, or the thought was always converting it to audio because it's just going to be a lot easier to do.
What?
I don't know if I'll ever get
with your own voice. No.
Oh, you can download all that crap online. So
I know, but I want to hear you do it all with your voice.
I'll make a special edition just for you. But no, this one will be called just An Outer Rim Tale, because I thought just naming it Jedi, just like Clerks, is really non-descriptive. I mean, Outer Rim Tale is kind of non-descriptive as well, but I don't know. I felt I needed to change the title, but
so that congratulations, and what you're saying is you now have time to move on to the prosthetic shop.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That's exactly what I heard.
Yeah.
When you mentioned that, I'm like, should these guys be working in the Outer Rim convenience store, or should they be working in a prosthetic shop now? You gave me that idea, so I'm like, is this Revision 3 coming up? I don't know. I'll have to think about that.
You can do it, Todd. We believe
it. We'll see. But, yeah, I don't know if I can pull off doing another fan film again. It's
tough, isn't it?
When everyone has a full-time job and you're trying to pull these people together, it's rough.
I don't know why I thought, Todd, if you're going to change that to being in a prosthetic shop, then the whole conversation about the number of dicks she sucked is very different.
Well, it's kind of funny that there was talk about Rise of Skywalker, Palpatine, and spoilers. Well, shit, the whole episode has been a spoiler for this movie. But as far as Rey being who she is, it's like, okay, who would have screwed with Palpatine?
But think about it. Like he was all hookers and blow. Like he was the supreme.
He was the Mac Daddy.
Yeah, whatever. Like he's a politician. That's all he did.
Yeah.
Go off to some planet. They'd regale him with women and drugs, right?
Sure.
That's not that surprising.
Isn't that what spice is in that universe?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably.
But keep in mind too, he's also the a Lord of the Sith and can pretty much do things. So I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Space impregnation.
Yeah, and part of my script, which I wrote up 15 years ago or so, kind of deals with some of that same kind of stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
So, just saying, I'm now I'm seeing similarities between canon and what I've got in my script.
I'm just saying, it's that frickin' Darth Smiley.
Yeah.
Hey, I didn't mention when we were talking about Rise of Skywalker, I think I have proof of this because it's probably on a podcast from a few years ago that I had a prediction for what was going to happen in the new Star Wars trilogy. I wasn't exactly right, but I said that they would ultimately convert Ben back to the light side and fight against the Knights of Ren, and that totally happened.
Yeah.
Not that that's a very surprising thing to predict, but
I was going to say the first part of that I think I was expecting, but fighting the Knights of Ren, I didn't know if they would bring them back or not, but they did.
Yeah, we knew they were going to bring them back. I really wish we would have known more about them and what they were actually capable of.
Yeah, we didn't get much of them. I was hoping for way more Knights of Ren storyline.
And I think you'd have to go to a novel for that, or one of these new expanded universe novels to kind of get those stories, because really you didn't have time to put it into this film.
Mm-hmm.
It
Hopefully
was
enough time
jam-packed the way it was
for cosplayers to see their costumes better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people are trying to get at those costumes from the crappy shots that they showed before.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I'm like 20 minutes behind on meeting Chris for Gloomhaven, so
Oh,
I should
boy.
Blame Travis.
I've already texted him and said, "Yeah, I'm going to be just a little late.
Mm-hmm.
They
Wait
can
till they
let
found
the
out why.
Better not make it too late." So,
All right.
all right.
Thanks for organizing.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. We'll do this again sooner than the last time.
All right.
It won't take 3, 4, 5, 6 months, whatever it was. So,
What happens, Todd. We're here for you.
yeah. Well, thank you guys for participating. This has been awesome. So, that has been Flamecast for, I was going to say this month, but who knows? I am Todd Pletz.
I was Wes Swingley.
And this is Travis Buckmeyer.
And we never introduced ourselves at the beginning, but that's okay because we did it now.
There you go.
And that is a wrap. All right.